Hello and welcome back. Or hello and welcome for the first time, depending upon whether this is your first time tuning into the channel. This isn't the first time we've run this game, but this is technically the second run. But there was a big gap, so new people may be joining us on YouTube and or Twitch. Tonight we're playing the Banished Vault. I'm going to be streaming this live to Twitch under the username Wilcol100, or under Wilcol. Sorry, let me get that right. Wilcol. I'll be recording it locally and uploading it to YouTube under the username Wilcol100. So that's where the 100 comes from. Wasn't able to get the usernames the same on both platforms. The Banished Vault here is basically a turn-based sort of strategy game where we're playing as the inhabitants to the Banished Vault, running away, I believe, from a phenomenon referred to as the Gloom. So we're going to get into the game here. This is the second run. In the first run, you have one option, which is do you have the tutorial enabled or disabled? We'll use that as our random seed. This is the second one we're going to do, so we're going to have the tutorial disabled. We've gained 2 new settings to play around with here. Solar system restarts and solar system difficulty. I'm going to turn the solar system difficulty up once to difficult. I'm going to leave the restarts on. You're going to see how many times I restart any of the solar systems. I tend to be a sort of player that plays it as it is, so you likely won't see me restart a solar system. If I do, it'll be because of some sort of recording issue, most likely. So we'll leave the unlimited on, even though we probably won't use any. And then we're going to turn the difficulty up a little bit. I think every time you win, it might be if you complete. So if you lose, it might give you some more as well. It gives you more options here until you have all the options unlocked. This is what we have unlocked here for the second run. So let's get in. Here's the intro. The stars have inhabited for the greater part of millennia. Through wars, plagues, and expansion, the interstellar churches have endured. For generations, the churches strengthened their control over stasis, a hybrid matrix that sustains life for the long hibernation of interstellar travel. They send vaults, vast monastery cities, built for tens of thousands to explore and colonize new worlds. On the fringes of territorial space, a colony mission conducted by the Agriga Vault discovers a phenomenon they christen the Gloom. It summarily annihilates the settlers, leaving behind only a meager crew of exiles. The exiles flee to new solar systems, relentlessly pursued by the Gloom. They gather resources from the planets to create more stasis, but we're being compelled to return to hibernation. They resolve to undertake a new task, to write a chronicle of their journey and transmit it home. So that is our task. We have arrived at the star VOE. Hibernation is slow and usually painful. Stasis keeps the body alive, but it does not alleviate the pain. It is a blessing that we can sleep through the process. So this is the vault, the Banished Vault here, or the titular Banished Vault. We have our 4 exiles. They got a selection of ships here. And this is our first system. Interestingly enough, the Hallowed World, which is a place we can go ahead and set up a chronicle, is actually not the lowest rung of the system. And this is not a safe system, because we start on difficult. I think if you start on normal difficulty, you will have no hazards in the first system. We have hazards, so things can go wrong. Things can go very wrong. These aren't even necessarily easy ones. Like, that's a strength 6 hazard. That's... oof. Lose 1 to 3 faith. Lose all actions. Okay, lose all actions is pretty common, but the faith hit's potentially pretty bad there. So one of the mechanics here is you'll notice we have 30 turns. In 30 turns, we'll sort of see the Gloom start in the start. At 30 turns, I believe the Gloom will be imminent. The 31st turn, the Gloom will eat the first rung. 32nd turn, the Gloom will eat the second run, and so on and so forth. If the Gloom catches up to any of our poor exiles, they're dead. And basically, we've set ourselves a goal. and that is to complete a chronicle. So to build that, we need to build 4 scriptoriums. 1 per hollowed planet. So we have a hollowed planet in the system, so we can score 1 of our 4 victory conditions here if we play our cards right. In addition to that, we need to acquire something we probably don't have any of right now. I think we need to acquire stasis, which we don't have any of. And we need a stasis per exile we bring along with us. We don't have stasis, we basically have to leave them behind and they go poof. Obviously we lose if we don't have any exiles left. Every time, or actually no, it's not 1 stasis per person, it's 2 stasis per person. So right now we've got 0 stasis in the vault, and we need 8 to take all 4 people with us. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We got like 35 turns max to get 8 stasis in the ship and leave. Well, ideally 8 stasis in the ship. If something goes wrong or we just decide we can't get 8, we could hypothetically leave 1 or more of these exiles behind. We probably don't want to do that so early in the run. And that is to continue. Not necessarily to win, though. We do need to continue if we want to try to win. That's because at most there's going to be 1 hallowed planet per system. So we're going to have to move systems at least 3 times to win this game. And it's this game's sort of board-like in that way, where it's sort of very turn-based, very... in many ways procedural. There's a little bit dice rolling, but it's pretty procedural. Survey... Okay, so that's... This is the system. It's not telling me where stuff is. Well, it's telling me that the system has this stuff, is maybe a good way to think about it. It's saying the next star is vetoed, but I think that's actually this star. We do have a mechanic for calculating energy, so we can know how much energy is going to take to... how much fuel our ships will need to go to places. We got 4 ships. We got 2... small ships and 1 sort of cargo ship. Oh, and the ships have condition. I had not realized the ships have condition. So this doesn't just damage our exiles, it would also damage the ships. Okay. So we have a lot of competing goals. We're going to need fuel, or well, we'll need fuel eventually. We probably don't need fuel yet. We've got plenty of fuel here for the first system. We're going to need to make sure we maintain iron, water, titanium, salt, or silica, because we need these to build things. Elixir is how we improve the faith of our exiles, which is what we need for making these rolls. So I think technically, like, this is a strength 6 hazard. I think we need to roll a 6 to clear it. And the faith of our exile when they encounter it is how many dice they get to roll. So this would be, for example, if the number 6 guy here had to deal with that hazard, he'd get to roll 6 dice, and he'd have to roll a 6 on one of them. Which that's actually pretty reasonable. That's the expected outcome, because 1 in 6 dice should roll a 6. So if you got to roll it on 6 dice, you expect that. You're not guaranteed it, so that could still harm us. So that's maybe an argument not to go into this upper system here, depending upon what we need for the resources. 3 is a lot easier to do as a side effect, because it would be a 3-up roll, so 4 out of the 6 results would apply. So we can bring up the game manual to check mainly what costs stuff, so we can sort of start planning out our maneuvering here. Buildings. buildings? That wasn't what I was expecting. Oh, I must be looking for something in the reference. Oh yeah, I'm looking for the reference here. So, this is what it costs for the 6 different harvesters. There's CO2, iron, methane, silica, titanium, and water. Initially, we'll only be able to build these on the planets. Some of the orbital stuff we can't do yet. Yeah, anything that has an asterisk next to it means it has to be unlocked during hibernation. So we have the service harvesters, we have the orbital harvesters, we have all but the sabatier on the surface. None of the orbital converters. Don't have the artifact surveyor, don't have the power generator. You have a resource excavator 1. And hopefully in this first system we won't have anything that needs deeper than 1. I hope the game has come to the conclusion that we don't, because there's no way we can have anything that can go deeper than 1. The scriptorium is what we need to make. So we need 2 alloy, 2... let's see... elixir. 2 alloy, 2 elixir. We have no alloy. We do have 2 elixirs. So we have half of what we need to make scriptorium. In fact, arguably we have enough elixir to make 3 of the scriptoriums. We'll have to source some alloy, but we've got like half of what we need for almost winning the game there. We've got no alloy right now. We could do a stellar surveyor to get an idea of what the next couple systems are being. Usually I don't need that info. We don't have the stuff for the observatory or the large orbital structure. And these are orbital buildings, so these are things I can build in orbit. And then the orbital structure. And here's all the ships. So we can get an idea of, if we weren't building the ships, what they'd cost. And the engines and so forth. So, in this first system, we probably need to make alloy. We probably want to make elixir. We probably have enough fuel. We could get away without making fuel. And we need to make stasis. And in fact, this is giving us a good idea, right? So the cost to build that's going to cost alloy. So we need the alloy to make the stasis. The stasis takes water, titanium, carbon. The alloy takes iron, titanium, sulfur. So we might not be able to put both of those in the same place. And then we probably want to make elixir as well. Though elixir's probably, out of all the resources we're going to want here, probably the easiest to put off. So let's first look for the alloy. Is there any place we can get iron, titanium, and sulfur in the system altogether? Iron, titanium, and sulfur on the hallowed planet. That introduces potential complications. We don't know if we've got enough space there to both do that and build the scriptorium. But we could do that there. Titanium, sulfur, no iron. Titanium, sulfur, no iron. Only water. Titanium, iron. Sulfur and carbon. Titanium, iron. Iron, sulfur, no titanium. So that's actually an argument maybe not to come up here, right? Is okay. We got methane there, we got methane there. We got methane, water, iron, and sulfur, but that's not really what we need. And then stasis is water, titanium, carbon. So yes, I'm already feeling the difficulty here, just looking at the starting position. In the first run, we played on what would have basically been the basic difficulty, so that was a much easier starting system. So by the looks of it, this is all the carbon in the system. And we are going to want to interact with carbon, so we're going to have to do something over there. Carbon, titanium, water. Of course, there's no water in there, so that means we'd have to bring the water up there. There is sulfur, though I think where we'd be making the alloy, it would probably be easier to not bother with the sulfur up there. So yeah, let's focus on just making stasis and alloy, because I need those. I fundamentally need those. If we could stock up on some alloy, we wouldn't necessarily have to make it in future systems. Same thing with stasis. If we can stock up on stasis, we don't necessarily need to make it in future systems. I suppose we don't need to make a chronicle step yet. We don't need to go and make a scriptorum. We don't have the space. And the scriptorum is large. So going off of that, iron, titanium, sulfur, we do all have in one place. That is the hallowed planet. So that is an argument that we want to go to the hallowed planet and do a lot of work there, because we make alloy there. If we don't have enough space to both make the scriptorum and the alloy, then we just make alloy there. That's just what we'd accept. The question then is stasis. So we can make the titanium there and the water there. At which point we just need to ship those off to wherever we can make carbon. Now, bonus points if we do carbon and water together. That way we wouldn't have to take up more space on the hallowed planet. But we already worked out the carbon's over here. This is the only place to get carbon. So it'd either be water here, or we'd have to go like over here for water and ship the water over. Okay. One notable thing is a lot of the transfer here is going to not necessarily take a turn to go. But each of these jumps here, that little hourglass says that's going to take a turn. So to go from here to here is a minimum of a turn. So going from here to here is 2 turns. From going here to here is a turn. And that's even before we're thinking about trying to save fuel by taking multiple turn jumps. Yeah. So we got 3 different places we want to go. At least 2 different places we want to go. We definitely want to go here. Definitely want to go here. I can get CO2 in orbit. So there's maybe an argument to make the CO2 in orbit rather than on the planet. Yeah, there's maybe an argument to do that. That's because the orbital one is 2, the planet one is 1. Although the orbital one's going to cost 2 iron to set up, so they cost the same. Well, sort of. The orbital one is 1 iron, 1 titanium, because I need to put a structure and a harvester. And we'll have to ship it down to the planet. And that is thrust to move from orbit to planet. What's the thrust on our ships? So the big ship has a -2 thrust modifier. So the biggest engine we have right now only provides 4 thrust. So our big ship flop that in there. 4 into the thruster, it has a thruster too. Can get down to that planet. It can't. Oh no, it can go down to the Hollow one. Hollow one is 1. We don't have any thrust 3 places. I thought it was thrust 3, that was 3 there. It's energy 3, not thrust 3. Okay. So this ship could go there. This ship could go there. And sort of by definition, the smaller ones require less thrust to move. But they don't have as many slots. And that's maybe an argument for saying, hey, we maybe want to leave the engine behind, for example. The bigger engine. So that we can save an engine slot. Right, because they're still going to need the big engine to get down that planet. Or I could plan on doing the orbital thing, what I was thinking of maybe doing. And then we just have the big one do the run up and down from the planet. Yeah, let's plan on that. That allows us to leave the big engines behind, so the two small ships can have all four of their slots. The big one, we may still run the small engine and the big one. It's got a little bit of space in there. It can carry the engines for the swap. So we can move it around the system on the fuel-efficient one. And then we want to go up and down from the planet. We can swap. Because it technically doesn't need thrust just to move around space. It just means it for into and out of the planet. Okay. Okay. And the question is, how do I want to deal with the hazards? Which hazard's going to ruin me the most? I think the hallowed planet hazard is the one that's most likely to ruin me. Oh, and then the next question is, where do I put all the buildings? So the surface harvesters obviously need to be down here. I maybe don't need to put the alloy maker down there, but it save us some space or save us some trip movement putting the alloy maker down there. And we can't put it in space, it's got to be on a planet. If I'm doing an orbital carbon, I maybe don't need any ships that can actually go down to that planet. Because I could pick it up here, ship it around, and we could say set it up on the water one. The double water one over here. Water, titanium, carbon. Maybe there's not going to do the water, titanium there. Then we can drag the carbon in from orbit. Okay, I think that's what we'll try to do. So then the carbon's going to be the only hard thing. The carbon is the only one where we need to get that from an orbit. Assuming these hazards, and we can't see what the orbital hazards will be. There is a potential hazard there. We don't know if there is one. Unlike the space ones where we're certain there is one. So I'm thinking we're presumably going to send the big ship here. Get that set up. The big ship needs both engines to do that. If there's a hazard there, we want someone decent to go along to deal with it, so we'll send Lodi as the navigator, so he can deal with the hazard on the hallowed planet. The hallowed planet's also going to have a lot of stuff we're going to do. So we're going to set the lowest guy to go with him. One of the small ships, the one that we're going to send here straight away. I'm going to send a highest faith person, because they're going to have to push through the 3. He should have no problem getting through the 3. But he needs to get through the 3. And we don't want to suffer the penalty there, which actually here wouldn't be too bad. We don't really want the ship getting damaged. But there's no way that could destroy the ship. So even if he screws up, the ship will survive. He will be fine. And the last ship will have the last person. We then anything what we need to bring along. So here, we need an iron. We need a titanium. Whoops. Wrong button. There we go. 1 iron, 1 titanium. Because we're just sending him there to get carbon. So he needs an iron to build the structure, titanium to build the harvester. And obviously he's going to need fuel. So we should do some fuel calculations. So he's running the energy efficient one, which is 175 efficiency. So we can bring up the energy calculator. Energy efficiency 175. So right now we can get an estimate. The first fuel at 175 energy efficiency will ride about 7 energy. He needs to go from the vault to there, 0 energy. From there to there, another 2. In fact, we should be able to just get a calculation there. 5. He needs 5 energy to that. So he can do that with 1 fuel. Okay. Yeah, you can do that with 1 fuel. We may want him to also be able to get over here. That's going to be a little bit harder to calculate, because we can't just click from where he is to where he's going. So that's going to be 3 to get back out, 6, 8, 9, 10 to get there. Or 10 to get here. 11 down to the planet, or 12. So those 2 fuel get him there. 2 gets him out to 12. So just double check the count. 1, 2, 3, 6, 8, 10, 11. Wait, no. 1, 2, 3, 6, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yeah. So you should be able to get both of those locations. Or 1, 2, 3, 6, 12, 17, 18. No, 17, 20. So it's a 5 fuel jump from here to here. And I don't know where I'm going to put my fuel maker, if I'm going to make a fuel maker in this system. Now that's maybe not too much of a demand, right? We might as well give him a full stack of fuel, right? So he's going to go down there, and he's going to need either so that's 1 to get there, 5 to get there from there. Yeah, it's 19 to get there. So yeah, with what we're planning on this guy, I think 9 should be enough. Unless we're going to refuel him in situ. And then the reason he would want more than 9 is because we are refueling him in situ, so we're going to be sending him around a lot more instead of just going to a location and doing something. So I think we'll just send him with a 9. He should be fine with a 9. Because we're sending him here. If we're going straight here, that's 11, 15. For 15, we need 3. Okay, so it's, 14 isn't a particularly useful number for us. It's either 5 or 3. Okay. I'm bringing that up because the second one here we want to send here. Oh. Or do we? Yeah, I think I still want to go there with the second one. So 15 for 3 fuel. We can probably get away with a stack of fuel. That'll get us there and back. And if everything goes going well, then we can make fuel there. So what do we need to build there? I probably want to build water and titanium extractors. So water is 2 iron. Titanium is 1 iron. So that's the water and the titanium. And then we may want to make a fuel producer there. So that is a titanium, or an iron and a titanium. And then we may, well, we probably also want to make a stasis producer. The alloy is the thing we need to ship in. We don't have any alloy from the Hallowed planet. That's going to be another iron, and it's going to be another Type 2 titanium. So that should work for them. If everything goes according to plan, they'll be able to make a fuel producer in sight and a stasis producer and the mines. And that should allow them to make stasis, and with the water we're planning on importing, or no, the water we're planning on making, they'd be able to make fuel. So if anything, this person probably doesn't need a whole stack of fuel. We're sending them with one because that just works. Okay. And then we get to the big ship. So the big ship's going to come down to the Hallowed planet. It's going to cost 16 energy on the fuel-efficient drive. However, the big ship's heavier. It's mass 4. So fuel goes less distance. So we need, if we want to go up to 16, we need to burn more fuel. I'm not sure if that counts as 16. So let's assume 7. Right, so we're looking at least a whole stack of fuel to get down there. Basically another get back out. And that's before we take the last jump down, but the last jump down, okay, that'll be on the lower fuel efficiency engine. So we're only get 115 on that. But we also only need 3 thrusts, or 3 energy for that, right? So, oh, that's still a 2 fuel jump. Yeah, so it's a stack there, stack back. Right, that's what we need to plan for. If necessary on the way back, we can instead take the detour to orbit over here, and we can always bring up the fuel, assuming the fuel plan goes according to plan. Okay, so that should work from the fuel perspective. Now we need to think about the resources we need. So we're going there for the alloy production, because the planet has all 3 things we need. It has the iron, it has the titanium, it has the sulfur. Iron, titanium, sulfur, yeah. So iron, we need 3 iron. Titanium, need 1 iron. Sulfur. Oh, I'm thinking sulfur because it says it's silica. Sorry, if you've been like killing me, it's silica the entire time. Silica, 1 silica. Silica requires 3 iron. So that's the iron we need for the harvesters. The alloy producer itself also needs 2 iron and 2 titanium. And then if we had the space on the planet, we'd like to make the script worm. So we probably want to bring along 2 elixir. When we'll have to make the the plan is to make alloy there, right? So if we've got the space for the other buildings, and we have space for the script worm, then we make that. And I don't think we have any convenient places for methane. Yeah, so that's our methane location. So I think we're just going to pretend like we don't have methane in the system. We do technically because it's up here, but we'd have to go past the 6. I think we're going to avoid going past the 6. Which means we're not going to make an elixir in the system. Which should be fine. It just means we probably want to make elixir in the next system. So I think we have a plan. You are going to go there. You are going to go there. You are going to go there. Now, somewhat annoyingly, the linchpin to how well this is going to go is this one. And we get everything to fit there. And we won't know that until we've been to the other locations. Because this is going to be 1 turn, 2 turn, 3 turn, 4 turn. We want to stop in orbit so we can change engines 5 turn. So we won't know this until turn 25. We'll know here 2 turns earlier. Right, so that turn earlier. And we'll know, well, here there's one hazard roll. Yeah, it's not the best hazard person, but I don't think the hazard roll is going to break him. Right, so that's less likely to be a problem. But we didn't find that out earlier. But yeah, I think we have a plan. We have, if things go horribly wrong, we do have restarts, so we can do a system restart. So I think it is time to begin implementing the plan. Oh, and we want you on the efficient engines for the maneuvering here. Because we're already looking at... Oh, no. That jump. We're looking at a 7... Oh, actually, it's a 6 fuel jump. Saves a little more fuel. I was planning, because it was right on that line, I didn't know whether that counted or not. 6 fuel jump to get there. Start maneuver. You're going here. 3 fuel jump. Start maneuver. You are going here. 1 fuel jump. Start maneuver. So we've committed to our moves. We do have a shipyard here where we could potentially invest, if we had alloy, in getting a different engine or different ships. One cargo, no travelers. 2 cargo, 1 traveler. 4 cargo. Okay. So I think we've got 1 of these, and we got 2 of these for our ships. There may be an argument to say build a ship like this that's got basically no cargo space, just to go around exploring, or maybe balance out there like that. So thrust 1 basically means this basically doesn't need an engine. I'm assuming you need to throw an engine on it, but yeah, we're not going to go messing around with the Vault too much on this first planet. So let's go ahead and get these guys moving. I'm going to resist leaving you guys on the cliffhanger. We're going to go ahead and see what these planets are before we put the part break in. First arrival. And it looks like we have no hazard, which is good. Let's unload what we need. We can move you over to do building, structure, orbital structure, building, harvest. This is a C2 harvester. And I need to, it's going to force me to build the structure first. Of course, we have the action here to do that. Construct. And then we can queue up the orbital, not the orbital structure, the CO2 harvester. There we go. We got the titanium there, so next turn he should be able to complete that and then begin harvesting CO2. We gotta resolve the hazard. Magnetic field, 99% chance of success. So we got to roll a 3 up on 6 dice. And of course, he rolled it, no problem. Successfully navigated the hazard. So he arrives. Oh, and that doesn't even clear the hazard. Okay, that's maybe a little more worrying. The hazard's still there. We have to pass through it. So I'm definitely feeling like it was not a bad idea to avoid the method. Artifacts here. There are artifacts. There are 2 10 knowledge animal skulls that we may want to drag off of this planet. There is conveniently... I brought resources assuming there would not be anything on the planet. There are some resources at this planet. And there are no hazards on this planet. So it should be easy to set up what we want. Building-wise... Oh, one notable thing, and I did not prepare for this. This is the one thing I did not prepare for. Is I did not bring resources along to do a resource extractor. So we can't actually harvest the water without the resource extractor. Was that... That will be a problem. Though... I think it was the converter I was thinking about. We can delay the fuel producer, I think is what we'll do. So for the converters, we needed a stasis converter. Which we'll say goes in that slot. And we wanted to put a fuel in. You can say go there. We haven't committed any resources to these yet. We're going to need a resource extractor to get the water to show up. And we're here... we'll put the game manual quickly. Specifically for the stasis. We want access to the water, the titanium... Water and the titanium, okay. So harvest-wise, titanium's pretty easy to do. Water, we need the resource excavator, which we've decided that's going to go there. I'm going to dump the iron into that because we need that, and I can't place the water one until we do. So that's all the buildings we need to, or want to get here. And as the turns progress, we'll be able to get most of this built. We've got the iron to build you. We've got the iron to build you. We don't have the alloy to build you yet. That's what we're still waiting on, cliffhanger-wise. We're 1 iron short to build you. So 2, 3, 4, 5, because we had to build the resource extractor. That's not a problem, because the place we're importing the alloy from, we are going to import iron from. So we can bring some iron in when that happens. Okay. Return to map. Oops. Deselect the drive, because we're not going to go into that planet. We're going to go into this orbit. You have the construction capacity to build this, so build this. And you have an action. So we'll go ahead and spend it, generating some CO2. Return to map. So, it hasn't really played a part yet. Because it doesn't really play a part the first time you arrive in a system. You can see on the rungs here, so the star indicator with 5, star indicator with 4, star indicator with 3, star indicator with 2. Happens to also be 2 up here. That's how much energy, or how many actions a exile has starting in that orbit. So, Flying takes an action, so when these guys arrived, they arrived with 1 spent, so that's why we had 1 action the previous turn. This guy's on a 2-action orbit, so he was able to take 2 actions this turn, so he built a thing and did a thing. This person arrived, had 1 spent, able to spend another 1 building the thing. Next turn, we'll actually have 3. These people, when they arrive, will have 1 action. Well, actually, this will make more sense when we go on the second turn. See where they. So move. Actually, I suppose whatever's on the spine here only has 1 action. Right? Normally using it to move. We're gonna do an engine swap here, as we'd planned that. We're then gonna go into the planet, which costs 2 fuel. Start maneuver. So you see, maneuvering cost an action, so they're now down to the person who's flying the thing is down to 0 actions. Oh boy. Oh boy. Potential outcome, lose all building resources. So the planet has some titanium. The planet has some sulfur, has some water, has some iron. We weren't going to use the water here, so it's fine that the water is at a lower depth. The iron's at a lower depth. Okay, that's going to complicate things. It's going to complicate things. If I have to build a building that is over one of the hazard modifiers, I have to roll to succeed on that hazard, I believe, when I go to build it. In this case, the potential outcome is lose all the building resources, and presumably not complete the building. Because of iron and titanium here, as long as we don't bad roll too many times, this shouldn't be an issue. So there's a couple different structures we want to build here. Obviously, the titanium extractor. There's no way I can build the sulfur one, or the silica one, without hitting a hazard. That might not be where we put it. Hindsight, this is probably the guy who doesn't want to do it. This is our lowest faith guy. Though, he probably can build a titanium extractor, that's not going to be a problem. We're looking to see if we can get anything. Scriptorum. Scriptorum is the big one. If we get the Scriptorum down, that's like the brownie points. So it would fit there. Obviously, we're going to have the risk of losing it every time. Which, because we can't build Elixir, is a really big potential problem. That's the last thing we're going to build if we build anything, so we're not going to panic too much about that. Oh, and we can't put the iron down until we put the resource activator down. We could potentially put that there, so we have no risk. The iron would go there with no risk. Then we're just running the risk of the alloy one. I don't offhand see any places I can shove the alloy one down where it doesn't run a risk. Well, there would work, or it wouldn't run a risk, but then obviously we wouldn't be able to make a run at the Scriptorum. I'm very tempted to make a run at the Scriptorum. Because obviously that's the victory condition. Can you build the Scriptorum is the victory condition. So making some progress on the victory condition there is somewhat valuable. And it really doesn't matter how many risk tiles we hit if we have to hit a risk tile, right? So let's say put it there. So no risk on you, no risk on you, no risk on you. So silica is the only one we have a risk on. Did we preclude the silica over here. We can maybe move these around so that we could use that silica. That wouldn't be ideal. Yeah, this is not going to be an ideal setup. Because the stasis, to be fair, we can make it work if we needed to. We're not gonna assume that we have to yet. Let's just assume that. No, let's not assume that we have to. So I know I need this. You've got an action building, and then that allows us to put the last one down. Last not risky structure down. So we've got our 3 mines. Honestly, the risk here is that we lose the iron. We're on a planet with iron that we're going to mine anyway. Right, so that's a tolerable risk profile, I think. And we worked out here we need to bring in the iron before we can build everything, which is probably fine. Construct, construct, construct. Okay, on future turns, he'll be making... We'll probably start him with making water. Right, there's no real rush to make the titanium. But if we can make some fuel so he's got some fuel to leave with, that makes a lot of sense. And then over here, it's a similar sort of logic. You're going to keep making CO2. You're not very fast here making CO2, so you probably need the most time sitting here making the CO2. Because every... No, I can't see here because we don't have a billion. Every stasis costs us 1 CO2. Right now, I think that's the only thing we need CO2 for. So, that actually shouldn't be too much of a problem. But that's just the case I need to be aware of. Oh, and we didn't look at the alloy state on... Oops. Alloy state down here, and not the artifact state. There is 1 unusual crystal, or no, 10 unusual crystals worth 1 each. That's probably not worth shipping. They're probably not worth shipping. Unless they stack, and I don't think they stack. Okay, so, I suppose to some degrees this may be a cliffhanger for you. We've got a plan. We've got everything planned out. We can make everything work. There is a bunch of risk involved. Specifically here with building things. Right, I can't afford to keep re-rolling making the script work. 59% success chance is not actually that low. But that's not very high. And I definitely don't want to pay more than 2 elixir, because we have no way to make... Well, we could technically make some here. But that would involve risk of its own, because then we'd have to fly past the 6 hazard space hazard, which we don't want to do. We could potentially bring someone better in, and in fact, we probably, if we're rolling this, we'd bring the better person in. They'd get a little bit better chance. Does the game give me some dice predictions? Because that's probably something that's been calculated. Whoops. Hazards? Yeah. Hazard difficulty 6 with 6 dice rolled, so we got a 76% chance to succeed here. It only paid 2. And I think that's good enough. This is the stretch goal. We want to get everything else done. Let's not worry about too much about that. But given that, this is a good place to put a part break in. We've got a plan for how we're handling System 1. Handling. Oh, this is the next star. So Viaduct is the next system. I don't know what the system's called. Don't see if there's a good way to say it. We're in this first system. We have a plan. In the next part, we will try to implement that plan. So if you're watching on YouTube, there will be a part up tomorrow. If you're watching Twitch, I'm going to take a short break just to stretch the legs, sip a little bit of tea before I get back to recording. So until the next part, I wish you all the best of luck and a good time. Catch you all in the next part, and bye for now.